Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about something that I think I've assumed is something very, very obvious, but it's sort of a mistake that I made recently. And that's going to the doctors while you're symptomatic. So the mistake I made was that I didn't go to the doctor while I was symptomatic. So I'll let you guys know what happened. So I think it was last month's update, the exosomes update. If you haven't seen it, I think it's either month 7 or 8. But you guys saw that I had some bruising, some unexplained bruising. And my doctor did not, the doctor that is taking care of that treatment of the exosomes thing, she didn't order any blood work. And at that point, I think the last bruise was fading. But a couple weeks before that, I had not just that bruise, but I had another bruise on my leg. I had several smaller bruises. And I was going to go to urgent care, but I talked myself out of it. And just a quick note, I do have insurance. I have Medicare, so there's no kind of financial situation that I have to think about, but I will touch on that a little bit later. So I talked myself out of it. I was like, it's just bruising. It'll go away. It was unusual bruising. It wasn't bruising that I had hit myself on something, because they weren't in areas that, like the back of my calf muscle and my upper arm. I didn't remember hitting myself on anything, but I kind of talked myself out of it. I was like, it's not a big deal. Just, they'll go away. And so I didn't go. I didn't, I was like, whatever, I'm not feeling, physically any different, I guess. I've been having my issues, but you guys know all about that if you've been watching my exosomes updates. So this past week, the bruising has gone away, but I started having other issues. And again, part of it is me just sort of dismissing, oh, I'm feeling a little stomach discomfort. It's nothing big, or it's because I ate this, or it's just stress, kind of dismissing that. And I'll make a separate video about that. But because my doctor had not run blood work when I showed her the last, the remaining bruise, I thought to myself, I probably should get some blood work done. There's got to be something going on. And I was like, but, I can't just go and request blood work. So I started feeling not well this past week. And, I also have been considering some kind of legal, a lawsuit, I guess. And I thought to myself, well, I have nothing. I have no evidence that something is wrong, except for what I'm saying, right? That I don't feel well and all of that. So I was like, what am I going to do? I know I need blood work. So I called a primary care physician because mine wasn't available. And I went in there. I went in just for a routine physical. And by the way, something that I learned about routine physicals is that you can't go in there with new complaints. So if you think you're going to go to a routine physical and tell them, hey, I'm not feeling well, that's not how it works. So I went in there and she didn't order that much blood work either. She said, we'll check up on your thyroid because my thyroid has been abnormal in the past, and we'll check your cholesterol because we haven't done that probably ever. So she didn't get a CBC, which would show any abnormalities in your, your red blood cells or your iron or whatever, which could cause bruising. But this was after the fact anyways. I didn't have bruising anymore at this point. But my stomach was kind of uncomfortable, and it kind of just kept getting, like, my stomach discomfort was just there. It was just lingering. So the next day, I did the blood work as soon as possible, but I was like, it's not the blood work that I needed. And so, sorry, I'm still having stomach issues, so I'm kind of like burping and stuff. So I went in the morning because I had to fast. I did the blood work, and I was just like, I don't know, I was just kind of uneasy, and I was like, I need this blood work. And like, I was having abdominal issues and little pains and that kind of thing. And I was like, you know what? Just go to urgent care. Just go and see if she'll run any blood work, because I thought, I'm having intestinal issues. That's what it feels like, possibly like spasms. So maybe the whole, SIBO thing didn't go away. Maybe it's coming back, because that was the one thing that had seemed to have improved with the exosomes. But it's possible that the exosomes just are not working anymore. So I was like, just go to urgent care, especially because you are feeling something. So I thought, while I'm there, I'll tell her about the bruising that happened like the month before or 2 months before. The bruising was actually in August, and right now we're getting close to mid-October. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to throw it all out there. So I went, I told her, I said, my stomach has been kind of weird. I said, I don't know what's going on. It just feels, I feel uncomfortable. And then I told her about the bruising. And I told her, I said, the bruising was a while ago. And she said, you need to come in when you're symptomatic. She says, when you have the symptom or when you see these bruises, that's when you need to come in. And that's when we need to run blood work right then and there, so that, so that we can see what's going on. Because by the time it goes away, the issue may have passed. And I mean, it seems like something so obvious, but it wasn't to me. And again, I talked myself out of it, because it's not like I wasn't feeling faint. I wasn't feeling particularly, I guess, unwell. I just had this bruising. The bruising and whatever side effects from the exosomes treatment that I've been dealing with for several months already. And I was just like, yeah, she has a point, and why is this important? Obviously, it's important because the blood work will pick up on it while it's happening. But say, in my case, I'm considering some kind of legal help. I need to document evidence, right? I need to document that something is going on, and the best time to document that is when it's happening. So you never know what you're going to need your blood work for, whether it's for a doctor, whether it's for a legal issue, for whatever, or even just to document changes. That's why I was a bit upset with my, immunologist, when she didn't run any blood work, right? And I'm showing her, that I had some bruising, and that worried me quite a bit. I was like, that's not, and the previous blood work that she ran was just one thing. And that blood work might have picked up on whatever was causing the bruising. So that's why it's important. I understand that some people will avoid, going to the doctors or getting blood work done because they don't have insurance. That is definitely a huge issue. But I do have insurance, so that was really no excuse for me not to go. And, my I don't have a copay when I go to the urgent care. I don't have anything. I don't pay for my blood work, anything like that. So there really wasn't anything holding me back except for myself, except for me convincing myself that my issue was not that big of a deal until it became that big of a deal. So I got the blood work done. This was on a Thursday. I went in the morning to get the thyroid stuff done. So they got me on one arm, and then I went to urgent care like a few hours later, and I was like, look, I'm not doing well. Just do something. And they got my other arm, and they got the complete blood count and all of that. I got home, and here's also again proof that, I shouldn't talk myself out of anything, because when I got home, it was only a few hours. By 3 o'clock, I was having full on diarrhea. So at that point, I was like, I'm sick. Something happened. I either have food poisoning, or, the SIBO's coming back. There's something going on. I have not had diarrhea like that. It wasn't like, I went 1,000 times, but it was really, it was scary, and it was really painful too. It was oddly painful. And I thought, oh my God, something is wrong. And I was very, very thankful that I did the blood work, because I thought to myself, for sure, we're going to see something on that blood work, because, I must have food poisoning or some other kind of issue. Well, my blood work didn't show any sign of infection or anything like that. There was something else on there that was a little bit, that was minor, but had nothing to do with the issue at hand. But that goes to show you that even with blood work, sometimes you're not going to pick up on what is wrong, but it is necessary to get your blood work done when you are symptomatic, to get testing done when you are symptomatic. So, I'm glad that I got the blood work done. I now have it. I can kind of put it in my file. It's going to shows some things, but not, what I was exactly looking for, but at least I know that I don't have an acute infection. So it's not the SIBO issue, which technically sometimes that shows up on blood work as like an infection. So I don't know. So I have no idea. It could be. She told me you could have eaten something bad, or I could just be having intestinal spasms related to a neurological condition, which I know is probably could be what it is. Um, I decided, that there was another doctor that I had been considering for a while, since last year, and they do charge out of pocket. So everything with this clinic is charged out of pocket. And they do a lot of blood work as well. And so I thought to myself, you know what? I think I'm going to move forward with that, because I don't see my other doctor until December. And then I have also a tumor panel and another CBC in December that I have to run. And I have to wait until, like a week or two before my appointment in December. So I can't do that any sooner. So I'm going to have 1 month in November without any blood work. And right now I want to be documenting as much as possible. So I contacted this other clinic and I said, look, I want to move forward with, the intake process, and let's do the blood work. It is going to cost me a few hundred. And I'm going to have to pay for the appointment as well. But I thought to myself, at least I'll have something documented for November, because at this point, a lot of unpredictable things have been happening. The bruising in August. I don't know what went on in September. I was probably just feeling generally crappy. And now, diarrhea, intestinal spasms in October. And I have been having kind of like some dizziness or some just kind of feeling off. So I thought to myself, I need to be documenting this, even if it costs me money, because I don't know if I'm going to need this for, evidence later on if I decide to move forward, legally. I don't want to continue. I don't want to say exactly what, I mean, if I decide to sue a doctor or, provide evidence that I am, worse than I was before. But even just for my own peace of mind, to see whether, maybe my body is not fighting infection well anymore. Maybe that's why I'm having, diarrhea or intestinal spasms, or if it could be something else, right? There's some tests that I just haven't had done in the past, and it doesn't hurt to do them. I kind of really, I learned my lesson with this, because I myself I convince myself not to go to the doctors. You're being paranoid. Everything's fine. You're exaggerating, that kind of thing. And at the end of it, it's like I could have had some blood work then that would have shown something, because this one didn't, right? So I think it is important to kind of take those things seriously, especially after you've had something experimental done. And if you guys did see my other update where I spoke to a doctor at a stem cell clinic, I talk about why, what blood work she recommended that I get done, and why she suspects that my doctor was not running blood work. And, we suspect that the doctor is trying to cover something up, because she always runs blood work. But in this case, she's trying to protect herself, because I'm showing her bruising and telling her I'm not feeling well. And she's just like, well, maybe now's not the time to be running blood work, right? So, when this doctor sort of tipped me off, because I was thinking that as well. And when she told me that, I was like, okay, so we're reading into this the same way, that my doctor's not running blood work because she's concerned that something might come up. Either that, or she doesn't believe that there's any need to run blood work. And so either way, I have no idea what she's thinking. She's been very, very unclear with me. So I'm glad I got the blood work. And at least I have it now. And then I'm going to have one for November and another one for December. And then I'll be seeing my immunologist probably later in December. I'll probably postpone my appointment with her just to have all of this, because I'm going to take it to her and I'm going to say, look, I'm getting blood work done. If you're not going to run any blood work, I'm going to do it. And I also did call my doctor's office and say, yeah, I would like to see a rheumatologist as well, if that's possible. And I haven't heard back on that issue yet. But anyways, I just thought that this was important. It seems like something so obvious that, if you're having a symptom, go to the doctors. And that's what we've learned with COVID as well, that if you're symptomatic, you need to get tested. That was kind of a tricky situation though, because they don't want you going into a doctor's office, so you either had to test yourself at home or get tested, at a testing site. But it is important to get tested while you're symptomatic. So, and I think it can be tricky. It can be very tricky, especially if your symptoms come and go, or if they fluctuate a lot, that kind of thing. But anyways, I just thought I'd make this video kind of like a little PSA, because it's true. You never know when you're going to need this blood work. You never know if a legal issue may come up. I'm still contemplating that, but again, you can't argue, that someone has hurt you or that a doctor has hurt you if you have no evidence. And if they're trying to bury the evidence and you're not gathering the evidence on your own, that makes it even more complicated. So, it's unfortunate, but, at least I got some of it done. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. This may not have been the most interesting one that I've made, but, it really, because of what's going on and because of the reaction I've had to this treatment, I feel like I need to leave a paper trail, and I feel like it's important for me to tell you guys, especially if you're looking into experimental treatments or anything that is, outside the realm of conventional medicine. You're running a risk, but be prepared. If you're going to do that, you need to be documenting things every step of the way. That's part of the reason why I'm also doing these videos, because sometimes I forget, I already forgot what happened last month, and that because so many things are happening now this month, but I can always go and look back on my videos and say, okay, that happened in September or that happened in July. Even if I didn't get any blood work done that month, at least I know there was something going on. But blood work is important. Blood work and just testing for things, while you are symptomatic. So anyways, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.